Hi, it's November 30th, and this will be my fourth video regarding COPD and my efforts to regain as much of my lung capacity as possible. I just want to say that I do feel grateful that I've been able to accomplish as much as I have, given the severity of the condition itself. And what I did learn from it was that it won't be just me that can benefit from these activities. It can be a lot of other people that have the disease. And by virtue of that, I simply hope that I can affect somebody and make their life a little bit better by following some of the things I've done. Now, without going back to the other three videos, we know that one of the things I said was most important was to walk. This is critical. If you can't walk, then you've got to find some other form of exercise. And in layman's terms, what happens is anything you do uses oxygen. Your muscles use oxygen to operate. I'm not a pulmonologist, and you can get more refined information from someone who's much more knowledgeable than I am. But I do know that the more I pushed myself, the harder I had to breathe. And the harder I had to breathe, the more open I began to become inside. And I did talk about one of the ugly side effects of it is that you've got to cough stuff out. And that's necessary. You can't avoid this. I know that in my case, there are these, there's a consequence in there, and it's called bronchiectasis. And that's basically little pockets inside that have developed that are basically full of the mucus in my lungs. And since there's so much destruction in there, it's not easy for the cilia to operate to carry this stuff out. So one of the ways that I have to benefit myself is to get out there and walk. It gets things opened up, and it allows me to get it out. Okay? Now you can do the same thing. Now I said before, you don't have to just go out and walk 5 miles. Some of you just can't do that. But you can get up and walk to the front door most of the time. And if you can get up and walk to the front door, you can walk to your car. And if you can walk to your car, you might be able to walk to the end of the driveway, or halfway down the block, or around the block at your own pace. You only need to go at a pace that gets you breathing. You don't need to overstretch yourself. And when you're walking, the pursed lip breathing technique is something that's been mentioned to probably many of you out there. And that's taking the breaths as you go and tightening up your lips when you breathe out. This is where you're sort of forcing and you're creating a pressure in there. That pressure tends to push some of this mucus up, and eventually you'll get it moving. Okay, I don't want to try to be too gross about it, but you'll get it moving. One of the things that I found that when I did my walking was after I had developed a little bit of ability to walk for a while, I started taking deeper breaths that stretched me inside. And by stretching myself inside, I took a little bit deeper breaths. Now, you sound like a freight train when you're doing this. There's no doubt about that. But who cares? You're benefiting yourself. And in the long run, you're benefiting everybody that's around you, your family, your loved ones, your friends. So what? So get out there and do it. Now, let's say you're walking and you've got a flat terrain or a hilly terrain. Each one of those things strains you. You know, obviously hills are going to. Well, take it a little easier. And don't go any further than you can. This isn't like the old joke of the guy who swims halfway across the ocean, realizes he can't make it, and tries to swim back. Do what you can do. And the best thing that's going to come of this is when you get back, you'll have done the things you needed to do to cough some of this stuff up and get it out. But the beauty is that first few minutes after you're back, you really do feel better. It may be temporary before you start to close back up a little bit, especially early on in this process. But for those first few minutes, you start seeing the benefits of what you've done. And this is really cool. I said earlier, small gains are great gains. and you're only going to make these gains by degree. Don't push yourself to a point where it is so miserable to go out and do this walk that it just negates your drive. We don't want that. Stay within your capacity at first. As you make those gains, your positivity will grow. And you'll walk a little further. And once you realize this, if it's anything like what happened to me, I walked a full hour. I got back in from work, regardless of the weather. Hot, humid, cold, it didn't matter. I walked for about an hour. And next thing I know, I'm covering 2.5 miles, 3 miles. I'm walking at a good clip. Keeps my breath, I've had my breathing rhythm going. Now, some of you have a much lower transpiration rate than perhaps I did. You don't have to go to an hour. If you can do it for 10 minutes, you can do it for 20 minutes, whatever. Take the effort. Because like I said before, doing nothing is absolutely the worst thing you can do for a COPD issue. It benefits you none. At least making the effort helps you. And boy, does it do a lot for the people around you, seeing you make that effort. It raises their spirits too. One of the things that happened when I decided to finally do something about this problem, my wife quit smoking. My sister quit smoking. My sister right now has been doing this exactly the same amount of time I have. Now, her condition wasn't like mine. But she's running 5Ks now. And she's over 50 years old. That's not too shabby in anybody's book. Now, does that make it? That's enough to make me feel good inside. It makes, I know she feels better. But I feel like I've affected somebody in a positive way by my own actions. You can do the same thing too. It's not a death sentence. It's not going to mean that you can't do a thing about it. If you let yourself get so debilitated that you can't, you'd wish you'd at least tried when you could have. Now I just simply hope that one person, just one person, can tell me when this is all said and done that the things that I've said helped them. There's a good little thing about quality of life. And a physician talked to me about it one time. If you've got COPD, your curve is like this. This is your lifespan. Okay? It's a slow, steady decline. That's not a quality of life. A quality of life is more like this. And I'm starting to realize I can have that kind of quality of life. I don't need that slow decline. Quite honestly, it makes you feel like crap. So, for what it's worth, that's my comment for today. Hope to talk to you again some other time. And thanks for listening, all those of you who will. I appreciate it. Bye.